All right. All right, guys. Second episode of the Rushmore and the Rhino Zoomcast. Today I have Heath Ward. Been knowing Heath for right about 30 years. We grew up together, riding around, fishing, playing video games. Both went to Lugolf. I was in his wedding, actually. Married to Jennifer, got two kids. And that's Heath. On the bottom here is Matt Burris. Met Matt on my Pepsi route probably 12 years ago. We stayed in contact with mainly through sports. South Carolina graduate from proudly from the Clover, South Carolina
right.
region, and now since moved back to the upstate. So kept in contact with these guys. They got similar interests that I do, so figure I'd throw them in there. So that being said, of course, the coronavirus has affected everybody. I mean, we're doing I guess a Zoom cast at 1 o'clock on a Thursday. That ain't normal for most of us. But anyway, it's affected everything, especially with us due to sports. All of us are avid sports fans, avid sports watchers. So if I was to propose you this Sunday, I give you 12 hours of sports. What would you watch? Would you watch March Madness, NBA, Masters, NASCAR? I ain't gonna throw football in there just for the simple fact that we hadn't got there yet. But what are you gonna? I'll start with you, Heath, as you're at the top on my screen. What would you binge on 12 hours this week if you could sit there, your wife and kids gone, it's just you locked into the TV for 12 hours? What you binging on?
All right. Well, based off of the shirt I'm wearing right now and the hat I got on, I'm going with Masters. That's going to be my go-to watch for as many hours as I can watch it. Hopefully all the recaps and everything else, all the history, there's just something about that golf tournament that I've had the privilege to go to it many times and just being able to be there. And it don't matter if you're a millionaire or you're a pauper. Everybody's equal when you're on those grounds. There's just something about it. So first on my list is watching that. I'm not really a big, hate to say this when it comes to being a sports fan, but I'm not that big a March Madness fan. I don't watch college basketball really leading up to that. I mean, I do watch it, but I'm going to throw something else out there. And my next go-to thing would probably be Supercross. And I'm just really big into that right now. I love it. Those guys are rock stars when you go. We met them and things like that and going to the events. And these guys, Monster Energy, they're dropping a ton of money on them. And these guys, they're just at a different level when it comes to their entertainment. And I love watching it. Got kind of hooked up with my son watching it. And that's just kind of what we do Saturday night. So that'd be my two things right now.
Okay. Matt, I'm pretty sure you're going to the Masters as well with that. But go ahead and give me your breakdown.
Yeah, I'll show you. I don't have my master shirt on today, but you can see right there on the.
Oh yeah,
nice.
My dad and I went a few years ago, so yeah, I'm with you on the Masters, especially with this weather, man. I mean, it's painful. It's absolutely painful. I can't tell you how many times I pulled up the Kenny Loggins produced theme song on YouTube this week as I sit in my home office here, sequestered from the rest of the world. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's Masters week, so I mean, we got to go to the Masters. March Madness. I mean, for me, if we could rewind that and go back, I mean, it's just. I mean, I know Ryan's big college basketball March Madness guy, and for me, that went to a new level when Carolina went out to the Final Four. My wife and I went out there,
of course,
years ago, and it, man, I mean, it's just gives you a new respect for it. I think being able to follow your team through that. But so yeah, March Madness, big deal. Baseball should be starting up. I'm a big Braves guy, so I sure would like to see. I think maybe like a lot of people, I'm not the biggest baseball fan. I can't really sit around and watch Sunday night baseball. I don't want to watch the Tigers and the Brewers play on Sunday night. I just don't care enough to do that. But if my team's playing, I'm gonna watch. The other thing I'll throw out there, you threw out Supercross. Not something I've ever been into, but probably not a lot of people watching this will agree. But I'm a big soccer guy, so I would love to have some Premier League soccer on Saturday mornings. I'm a Tottenham Hotspur guy, and went to London last year to see them. And European soccer in particular is a big deal. And there's a lot of people in the state to follow it. You'd be surprised, but I anything right now, man, anything.
I was just at the old timey meat market. I picked up some steaks, and one of the kids plays baseball at Camden. And he hollered at me. I said, "I would watch Korean baseball right now." I would watch. Yeah. This is my whole day is generally, especially this time of year, is scheduled around what I'm watching tonight. Like you said, normally this time of year is Braves, whoever, and if it's not Braves, if it's Yankees, Red Sox, Cubs, big time guys, I'm watching that baseball, March Madness. I love the NBA, and I was looking forward to LeBron, Kawhi versus on the West and Celtics and the Greek Freak. But it's just any of it right at this point. The Masters, there's people who don't watch golf that watch the Masters because of what it is. I think we just dropped Heath, maybe. I don't know. I can't tell. Maybe
come back.
But anyway, but yeah, Masters is one of those things. Like I guess the Super Bowl of, even though there's not a Super Bowl, it is the Super Bowl of golf, and so yeah, definitely missing that. Let me see if I can get him to reconnect.
Yeah, I'm with you on the NBA thing too. I'm not historically a huge NBA guy. Again, I kind of have to have a rooting interest, and I've grown up 15 minutes from Charlotte. I mean, we were a huge Hornets fan, and went to those games as a kid, and went to a few this year. And the Hornets had some good young talent in there now that we're showing some signs of progressing. And the eternal optimist in me, I guess you kind of have to be that way when you're a Gamecock, Hornets,
of course,
Braves, Panthers fan. You learn that skill early in life. But
the Gamecock about you learns joy and pain and more pain. And like you said about March Madness, I went to the 2 rounds in Greenville that year, and then you flew out to Phoenix or wherever in the Final Four. And having a team invested, which we don't have ever, I would say ever,
right.
3 times, 4 times, probably 3 times in your lifetime. I guess 2 Eddie Fogel teams and 1 Frank Martin team in a tournament. Is that all you've had?
Yeah. When I was in school, 04 to 08, yeah, it was NIT. We had a couple good teams. I felt like should have made the tournament, but didn't. But yeah, I mean, it was those Eddie Fogler teams, and then that run out of nowhere, So yeah, no, that's it. I mean, that's literally it in my lifetime. I matter of fact, I was looking through my garage. I got old Carolina, those old schedule posters they put out every day. I just found I got a stack of them in my garage. I'm gonna try to figure out some way to get them up in my office here, but. Man, I got old ones down there, and I was just looking at something like, and these teams were terrible. Like, it was just nothing. You had to run with Fogler, and then there was a long pause in between there.
Yeah, Dave Odom put together the NIT run with Balkman and Terrence Kinsey and those guys, but those were pretty good teams, and they probably should have made the field, obviously, since they won the NIT, but they weren't in that competitive level. And even that year that they made that Final Four run, Thornwell was out to start the season, had a couple of injuries, and I think they lost to Clemson through that. And he came back after when SEC play started, and they went on a run and played really well. It was pretty surprising because I thought they would probably lose in the first round and then definitely lose to Duke and then go on and beat Florida. I mean, that was a magical ride for our expectations, because Duke, North Carolina, Kentucky, Kansas expect that. We don't expect Final Four runs ever.
Well, I've got growing up here, lifelong Carolina fans, and that's all we've ever been. And growing up this close to Charlotte, you in football season, everybody's either a South Carolina or Clemson fan, and in basketball season, I'm a North Carolina or Duke fan, and that used to drive me nuts. I mean, I used to get so mad about it because I'm like, man, are you a Clemson fan, or are you a South Carolina fan, or are you not? Like, we play basketball too. Wow, yeah. But I just, and it's the proximity to Charlotte was a big deal. I don't know if it's like that everywhere in the state, but it's definitely like that here. So it was nice to have a little something to be proud of. But that team was so weird, man. And that's what the magic of the tournament is you get hot at the right time. We've seen that though with Frank Martin teams, right? They had that lull, sort of early winter, late December, January, where they look terrible and the team's not going anywhere, and then they just kind of get hot at the end of the year. And they sort of did that this year, and then they just kept dropping inexplicable games like Vandy and stuff.
They could have easily went to the finals in the SEC probably, or they could have lost in the first round. It just depends on what night. They can lose to Georgia, or they could beat Kentucky. So, anyway, Heath, I think you're back. Are you back? Can you hear me?
I am. Yep, I'm back. Sorry about that. iPad overheated.
No, that's cool. All right, now we'll start in here.
He's in the kitchen.
WrestleMania did their first ever crowdless, I guess, pay-per-view, and I guess it was a success financially because everybody's so bored. I mean, there's nothing else to watch. $50 in there. I didn't see it. I saw highlights. I saw the wrestling card, and I saw like Edge versus Randy Orton. I thought this was like 2003 or something. And then when Gronkowski winning the championship and whatever goofy thing that is, it's too much goofy for me, not enough substance. So anyway, throw it back. And I know this is kind of like how me and Tyler and Kurt went, where me and Heath are NWA, Tony Schiavone, TBS Superstation. And I think, Matt, you grew up more of a WCW Nitro / Raw was War, Attitude Era guy. So it'll be a good combination of that. I've done my picks. But anyway, I'll start with Heath, since you back and you didn't get to talk about the Final Four run we talked about for 5 minutes. Give me your top 3 individual wrestlers, top 3 tag teams, your underdog guy that wasn't a star, and the guy you hated most. Go ahead and start with that.
Well, I'll say something about WrestleMania. I did actually re-up my membership to watch it just to see what was going on with that. And like you said, there's not a lot of substance these days out there. A lot of just reuse stuff over and over and over. But a couple of the matches, the RKO and the Edge match was actually a really good match. And the 2 matches that I think drew the biggest attention was the Undertaker, AJ Styles, and the Bray Wyatt, John Cena. And I will say you can tell that Vince McMahon had nothing to do with any of those matches. Those were I didn't even know, was watching them, and I'm thinking, were these actually good or not? Because it was just something, I was watching a movie pretty much. But going back and seeing people's comments on them, I think that is by far the best thing I've seen them do in the recent days. With that being said, I know you guys, a couple of the picks y'all made yesterday, I think when it comes to the top guys out there, I am old school, but you got your Flairs, your Stone Colds, Dusty, Macho Man, those guys like that. I'm going to be a little more recent on a couple of my picks. So I'm going with the overall. When I say overall, I'm going with in-ring wrestling ability and microphone skills. Okay. I'm going to say CM Punk, the stuff that he did with his pipe bombs and his kind of getting the run of the show in WWE. His title runs, I think he had 5 or 6 titles, carried one of them 400-something days. Just this ability in the ring, and just kind of, Barry Sanders just kind of walking away at the top of the game and just saying, I'm done with this. And, gets all kinds of crazy offers to come back, and he just walks away from it. So I'm going with Punk. That's my third guy. RKO is another one. Randy Orton, youngest champ out there. I just love the guy on the mic. His wrestling skills, I think 13, 14 championships, something like that he's had. And then top guy to me right now, that if anybody's, you guys are watching wrestling on TV, that draws the biggest crowd and the biggest pop is Chris Jericho. And the El Champion, with all of his bubbly, just the stuff he says is insane. What he's doing on AEW, the guy's 49 years old. I will say this. I remember Jericho when I was growing up in 96, 97 when he was in WCW. I remember my dad said, if this guy can wrestle, this is a pro wrestler, you can be a pro wrestler. This guy, he just was an average sized guy that has some in-ring ability, but he can talk. And that's what he's doing right now. He said they had him on commentary last night talking to the guys. He's as good as commentator there is out there, and just being in the ring, 49 years old, hanging with all these guys. So I'm going with him as my top guy. Tag teams, you guys hit some good ones yesterday. I'm saying my third is Harlem Heat. I know that was mentioned yesterday with Stevie Ray maybe not being able to hang, but that combination being 110th Street Harlem, I mean, somebody comes out to a ring being said that's where they're coming from. That just kind of intimidation factor right there. I think they were 7-time champs. Booker T went on to win stuff after that. You had the other combination, the Doom, that came out right about the same time. Those guys to me were, pretty much equal when it came to that. Steiner's would be my next one. As Curtis said yesterday, it was just something different those guys brought when it came to Frankensteiner and things that they offered in the ring. And then the Road Warriors. I know it was mentioned they were boring, but if you looked at the guys they were competing against between the Rock and Roll Express and Midnight Express and those guys like that, man, if they would have done anything, they'd have killed those guys. I mean, just as big as they were, and some of the matches, but just some of the head-to-head competitions they did with the scalpel matches and their days in WWF or whatever it was back then, top dogs. Underrated, I'm going to give an old one and a new one. Old one, I say Brian Pillman. They used him a lot, but I love the guy. He was kind of comical to begin with some of the stuff, pushes he had in WCW. When he moved to WWE, you kind of got to see the real him when it came to his mic skills. And then right now for me, I'm going to say R-Truth in WWF or WWE right now. And the guy, he's probably behind the Fiend, is best thing going in wrestling right now with the stuff that he does. They keep putting the belt on him, little 24/7 comical stuff. But and then my most hated is Hulk Hogan. I hate the guy. I hate him. I don't know his ring music, his wrestling ability, everything about the guy I hate. And the only thing good he ever did was his reality show that he had on TV, and that was good stuff there. But besides that, horrible. So
cool. That's a good list. That's a good mix between old school and more new school. I know you got a son who's a teenager, so I know in the neighborhood's big on the wrestling around there, so I know you keeping in touch. I don't watch the new stuff as much, but I do remember R-Truth. He's been around a good 10 or 12 years now. So, Matt, I know you got a good mix too. I know you're a little old school, but I know you some new school too. So shoot me your list, top three underrated and hated.
Yeah, so I looked at it, from an all-time perspective too. So my generation I was coming up, and I kind of abbreviate this story a little bit, but condense it down. I did Tyler's podcast a while back, and I told this story. So I got an interesting relationship with wrestling. When I was growing up, I have an uncle who is, I guess he's in his mid to late 60s now, and he's special needs. When I say special needs, he has challenges, some health problems, stuff like that. But he basically his entire adult life has had has had the mentality. You also relate to this part. He's had the mentality of, let's say, like a 13-year-old, right? So capable of doing a lot of things. He worked a job, he retired from a job, but he lived with my grandmother all his life. But he had money, had income, that kind of thing. So he's a gigantic wrestling fan and Braves fan. Can tell you any Braves statistic you ever. We used to VHS record every Braves game, get off and go home and watch them. Same with wrestling. So anytime there was a pay-per-view when I was a kid, he bought it. I'd go stay the night at my grandma's and we watch it. And I spent a lot of time over there in general, but we played sports, all kinds of stuff. But, so anyway, that was my beginning of my love for wrestling. So I was born in '86. So that means really when I really got into it, I guess 6, 7, 8 years old was the early '90s. So a lot of these guys y'all are talking about, I'm familiar with. I know who they are, especially with the network and that kind of thing. I don't watch it now like I used to. I don't religiously watch it. Matter of fact, I hadn't watched much of it all year. But so my list is from that perspective, right? Kind of early '90s to now. So I was prime age for this Attitude Era, WCW, WWF. That was when I was all in it. My personal top three. Number 3 for me is the Stinger. Sting is number 3 all time for me. And I'm thinking blonde flat top, bright face paint. That's not necessarily the black and white. Although I enjoyed that. I was in Charlotte one night at a Nitro when he showed up in the Raptors with my dad and my uncle, so that was fun. But yeah, that guy was the first guy that I really remember being like, wow. I mean, this is my guy, right? Like I even had the flat top haircut, when I was a kid. So, so that was number 3. This is tough for me because I feel like number 2 was right in that same era when I started getting into WWF, and this is before DX. But the original babyface Shawn Michaels, HBK, when he was having those ladder matches with Razor Ramon and those guys. I mean, that was when you kind of realize, like, all right, this guy's not just a rocker. You know, he's this guy can hold his own, right? He has some things about him that were different. He's in my top three. This is going to be a top four, just for clarification purposes. Because 1 and 2 for me are kind of one and the same, and I think they're linked because of the time period and other reasons. But Stone Cold and The Rock, I can't separate those two. If you'd asked me, 10 years ago, I'd have said The Rock, but I think not that anything's changed from that perspective, but I just have a little more respect. I mean, Stone Cold was just a lifer. He's not out there doing a bunch of movies, and I mean, he's just the epitome of a guy. And what he did will never be duplicated. I could see somebody else coming in and sort of and John Cena's kind of done that maybe with sort of the Rock path, right? He's trying to get to Hollywood, but nobody will ever be Stone Cold Steve Austin again.
Agreed.
And some of that's the time period, but he's just so unique what he was able to do. So that's my 3 or 4. Tag teams, again, my time period is going to be a little different. These are in no particular order. Harlem Heat's on my list. Man, watching them on WCW, when they would, you said 110th Street Harlem, when they would come out those sliding doors on WCW Saturday night in the 90s, I mean, somebody was getting their ass whipped. Like, that's how you felt, like there was no, right? Like there was no, you felt like if I ran into this guy at the 7-Eleven, when my dad's going in to get a couple beers, and I'm, if you run these dudes and you accidentally bump into him on the Cheetos aisle, he's gonna whip my dad's ass and stuff. Like, that's how you felt about these guys, right? No bones about it. And I'm back when Sherry was with them. I mean, these were some bad dudes, right? That was just the vibe they gave off. So, also had the Road Warriors in there. I just always felt they were really, really big, 80s before I was really around watching and or born. But they just felt different too. They felt like a big deal, when they came out in WWF, and then you had the LOD 2000, whatever that was. But they just felt different to me. You just felt like a big deal. The Hart Foundation is another one I remember early 90s that I don't think gets talked about enough. I mean, those, the Anvil and this dude, you felt like something off about that guy in general. R.I.P. No, right. Speak ill of the dead, but there's something definitely. They felt different too. Steiner's you got to put in there. I feel like Scott Steiner tainted that legacy a little bit when he's lost his mind since then. But just different about them. And I'll throw in another one, not necessarily, but any way, shape, or form for their wrestling ability, although they weren't terrible. But that Attitude Era for me can't miss TV. And this is really kind of maybe even before DX. Then when the New Age Outlaws got their shtick going, I mean, those guys, they obviously the crowds were all hot back then, but I mean, they had people eating out of palm of their hand. The Road Dogg, in my opinion, one of the most underrated entertainers in the history of wrestling. Billy Gunn played his role perfectly, but couldn't get enough of them as a kid. Absolutely could not get enough of them. What am I missing here? Underrated?
Yeah.
From a worker perspective, I mean, we talk about him, I think, in the South a lot more than everybody else does. But Double A, I mean, Arn Anderson's, I mean, that's another guy that you didn't want to bump into in the 7-Eleven. I felt like he actually reminded me of some kids' dads that I went to school with, like to borrow a phrase from Rhino, that was, carry and block or hang sheetrock kind of guy. Like that dude would, he just didn't play, and he played that role, perfectly. And I don't feel like he gets mentioned with a lot of those guys from that era. A lot of times maybe gets overlooked a little bit.
Yeah, you hate.
That's a tough one, and I'm gonna make Heath mad with this one, but I've never understood the CM Punk glorification. I don't get it. I think he was a good storyteller. He's obviously very good on the mic, very average in the ring for me. He never did anything for me. But I will tell you this, I'll clarify that a little bit. I watched wrestling all the way up until, I guess, about 2000, 2001, 2002. And then when I was in college, I don't think I ever watched it for 5. So that what do they call that? Ruthless aggression, like that. I missed all that. So that was really his build, right? So that probably explains some of it. But for me, looking back on it, when I got back into it, thanks to Tyler Cuff and some other people, it's kind of, I just don't get it. I don't get it. And I don't. I guess that's not a hate, but
That's okay.
but I just don't really. I never really get the obsession. And I'll tell you, I've taken my younger cousins and nephews to some shows in Charlotte and stuff, and the I think part of that is the fans that no matter what happens at any point in a show, they all want to chant CM Punk.
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, man. Like the guy's been gone for how many years? Like, relax. Okay. If that was you, Heath, I apologize. But
No. My biggest thing with him was the same way Stone Cold was with Vince McMahon. I just love how they always put him in his place. CM Punk was the same way. And just for them to be able to give that microphone and run with it. In ring, you're right. He wasn't great in the ring. He was kind of average, but it was just kind of the overall with me with him. I do like the picks, though. Some of them other guys you mentioned, those are some good. Bring me back in the day a little bit on those things.
All right, we're gonna roll this. Since I'm on the broke ass free Zoom, we got 40 minutes. So only thing we got 10. I think me, Kurt, and Tyler ran out the other day. So we're gonna roll through these pretty quick. I wish we could do these for 2 hours because that's what I like. You just talk and you can break it out. But since baseball is non-existent at this point, I know you guys are pop culture, movie, whatever buffs to a certain degree. What's your top 3 baseball movies? And for me, I'll shoot them real quick. I love Cobb, the movie. Not many people have seen it, but Tommy Lee Jones portrays Ty Cobb in a different light, I guess, or maybe the actual light he was in. But it's a crazed guy, but really smart, intelligent, one of the best baseball players ever. I love Major League because it was one of the first of its time. It was really funny, I thought. It was well done. A lot of cast of great characters. Charlie Sheen played Wild Thing, of course, and then you had a whole list of the baseball players. And I guess Field of Dreams, maybe just because of the story. But I probably would go Bull Durham. I like Bull Durham better, I think. Those are my top 3. But I'm more here to listen. Heath, go ahead and shoot me your 3. You probably got a more analytical process than me.
No, I like your Major League pick. Willie Mays Hayes, the original with Blade, Wesley Snipes. It's hard to go bad with that. Wild Thing, that's going to be my first one. The Sandlot. I mean, it's just that I think just was our time frame of when our age and we were growing up. And granted, it was back in the day before that, but that's what we kind of just was always on TV to watch and just love The Sandlot. A bunch of one-liners out of that movie.
True.
Moneyball, I'm a fan of that. I like the whole concept. The movie wasn't great. The concept I thought was good of them trying to portray what they did with the A's. But I'm going to throw one more out there, and this is you may not like the Moneyball, but I like Summer Catch. Freddie Prinze Jr., Jessica Biel. How can you go wrong with that combination? You may never ask me to be on the show again, but it was about baseball. It was.
That's cool. It's your list. I never stop anybody on the list. What I will say about Moneyball is and Tyler knows this. He'll watch this and he'll say it. I can't dig Moneyball because I know what actually happened. It wasn't what Art Howell was doing, and it wasn't Scott Hatterberg. It was all about Mark Mulder, Tim Hudson, and Barry Zito. You got 3 Cy Young guys. Hold on. You
just got upgraded.
I think so. All right. Hey, we can still talk. Slow your roll. Let's go. Nah, what
2 hours
is we talked about Art Howell. We talked about Scott Hatterberg. It was Mark Mulder, Tim Hudson, and Barry Zito, 3 Cy Young guys. Never got mentioned in the movie. It wasn't about a journeyman second baseman. It wasn't about Carlos Pena, Jack. It wasn't about David Justice. It wasn't about a Giambi. You got 3 studs that was maybe, since they were younger, were better possibly than Glavine, Smoltz, and Avery. I won't say Maddox, but Glavine, Smoltz, and Avery when they were young. All 3 of these guys were Cy Young. But the premise, if it wasn't real and I didn't know, or if I didn't know enough about it, the movie itself was pretty good. It just pissed me off that I'm thinking, you got 3 20-game winners and you're over here arguing about Carlos Pena. That guy sucks. Anyway, good list. Oh, I can't hear you, Heath.
Oh,
there we go. Okay, you back?
There you go.
But no, I'm with you on that. Nobody was running out buying Scott Hatterberg jerseys and stuff like that back then. You're right on those 3 pitchers. It's hard to go, and that wasn't disappointing part. They never mentioned
Scott Hatterberg's kids were not wearing Scott Hatterberg jerseys back then.
Good point.
Exactly.
Matt, what you got, man? What's your top?
I'm with you 100% on the Major League Series. I mean, that was a staple, as a kid. Jumbo, all those, man. I mean, all of them were good. The original was better, but I could watch those. I mean, never ending loop. I'm with you, Heath, on the Sandlot. That's another one. You could just watch to y'all are older than me, but even my generation, Sandlot was constantly watched for all of us. Kind of a tie for third here. I'll give you one that
Matt's the only guy I know. If you give him a top,
I can't do it, man. I can't.
Cool.
I'm too indecisive. Give me a tie. Give me a fourth.
Right.
We got a tie for third. A League of Their Own. I love that movie. That's a good one. And what does it for me? Obviously, Gina Davis was good, but Jimmy Dugan, Tom Hanks, and Jimmy Dugan. I mean, that character alone is enough for me to just. There's so many one-liners, for me watching that one. And the other one is was my generation, Rookie of the Year. I like that one. The kids with the arms. So that was a good one for me. So that's my four.
When I thought we were pressed for time before they gave us this boost, and I hope it does keep going. If it cuts off, I'll just text you guys and we'll call it a day. But hopefully we do got more time. I was going to say, the baseball movies are an interesting genre because you got the biographies of players, Shoeless Joe, 61, whatever, and then you got the Disney, then you got the comedy, and then you got real life, Field of Dreams or whatever. So it's just a whole mix of different genres mixed into one, and then like you said, Rookie of the Year, pretty much a Disney kind of setup, Angels in the Outfield and all those other things were big, probably about your age. I think me and Heath were probably teenagers by then, but we ain't had nothing else to do, so we watched them. All right, real quick before we get into the Mount Rushmore. Stuck in the house, obviously we all are. I'll start with you, Heath. What's the one place? We all white dudes, so I know we crave some and some chips and salsa. But what's the one place you plan on the day they open it up? No more coronavirus. Everything's back to normal. If we get to that, where you going to pig out? What's your top? Give me two if you want. I mean, Matt's gonna give me 3 or 4 and a sandwich shop. So I'll go ahead. I'll go ahead and give you a couple if you can't think of one. What are you looking forward to eating? What are you missing eating right now?
I'm going to keep it local. And granted, we've been supporting both of these places, even though since they've been just doing takeout. But San Jose's Lookoff and House of Pizza, you can't go wrong with those places. Props to my guys out at San Jose's with the stuff they're putting on Facebook right now. They're drawing people in. I told Luis, I was like, yeah, he's a rock star, and he's running around with his wrestling mask on too. So it's kind of hard to go against that, but just something about, I think that's kind of our spots we usually go to a lot anyways and eat in. So it's kind of hard to pass up on those two places.
The
so
funny thing is, when he first started posting videos, it showed it on Facebook, and we have 50 mutual friends. Now we got 138 mutual friends. He's picking up everybody look off doing his little fishing on the porch and the mask and the Macarena. Yeah, San Jose's, any Mexican restaurant, to be able to sit down in there and eat unlimited chips and salsa, which I always gave Mexican restaurants a thumbs up because you don't have to pay for your advertiser. I mean, they give you the chips and salsa hoping you pay $5 for the cheese dip, and that's cool, or guacamole, but they got it down pat with the free advertiser. And then House of Pizza, like you said, that's a lock in Kershaw County. No matter where you live, Steve does it right. We've eaten there a couple of times, so I'm looking forward to that too. I'm looking to go to Home Team Barbecue downtown just because I want a platter of ribs and chicken wings and meat and hash and vegetables and a beer and Cantina 76. I want 3 or 4 tacos and guacamole. Just to be able to have the options. Matt, hit me.
Yeah, so I'm 100% with you on the Mexican restaurant. I mean, we got one couple right up the road here in Lake Wiley that we've been ordering from at least once a week. I think we did twice last week. So, but it ain't the same. Thanks. I agree. Roll up in there and get a margarita, cold Dos Equis at the table. So look forward to that. I will be obviously supporting our local businesses for doing that, especially due to my my choice of career. I got some clients over here, restaurants we've been supporting, so shout out to them. But I'm gonna get in the car and I'm gonna drive 4 hours to my in-laws live in North Myrtle Beach, and we would have already been down there probably in the last couple of weeks, certainly for Easter. We're gonna go down there, and they live right near OD in North Myrtle, you know where that is. And we're gonna get on a golf cart, and I'm gonna go to the OD Grill. I'm gonna sit on the porch, which is right across the drive from the beach, with the ocean air in my face, and drink maybe one, maybe two draft Miller Lite on the beach, because I would have already been doing that by now. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, I think right now for me, it's just having the ability to go. You know, we eat a lot. I eat a lot out. Obviously, with the YouTube channel, I eat a lot of hot dogs and fast food and junk too. But it's just the ability and not to have to worry about going somewhere. Like, it's different to me. I love a lot of places, and I eat a lot of takeout, but it's different when it's only takeout. It just seems different to me. So I'll be glad when this is over and eat some barbecue and pizza and subs and Mexican and probably everything, and probably gain another 20 pounds. Speaking of gaining 20 pounds, do a Mount Rushmore to end up all these episodes. Today's Mount Rushmore is going to be candy bars. You know, I think we all got a couple things we like to munch on, snack on. So Heath, give me your top four on the Mount Rushmore of chocolate, candy bars, whatever you got.
All right, I'm going to go first. I love a Gobstopper. Just something about buying a $1 box of Gobstoppers from Walmart, and then those things last about 6 minutes. There is no everlasting when they hit my mouth. There's just as quick as I can crunch them, I crunch them.
Yep.
A Chico stick, and this is something that my wife and I as well, we walk into a Dollar General, and they got those Chico sticks just sitting right there for like 80 cents. And just something about a nice, hard, almost, you don't even know if they're like spoiled. I mean, it's something about them, as hard as that outer shell is on those Chico sticks. It's like these things are expired, but they're still good. And then Reese's Cups, Reese's Pieces, Reese's anything. It don't matter. Sonic Outrage, whatever the thing they got there. Combination chocolate, peanut butter. You can't go wrong with that. And then another go-to for us, I think, right, is a Tootsie Pop. I love Tootsie Pops. Another thing that I'll eat them in about 3 seconds, but I hate a Tootsie Roll. So I will lead right into that. That's my 4 favorite things, and I hate Tootsie Rolls. I know what your most hated candy is, Ryan. I'll agree with you on that, but I don't want to steal your thunder from that one. Gobstoppers, Chico Sticks, Reese's. Yeah. So.
It's unnatural. It's unnatural and undeserved, the hatred that you have for Sixlets, Ryan. I'm gonna steal that from you right now. Unfairly targeted by your social media posts. Sixlets never did anything to anybody.
It's like the Sam's Cola, man. I mean, if I've never been in a situation where I needed to go Sixlets. I can go M&M's, but Matt, you knock yours out, and I'll go with my 4.
Well, first of all, Reese's Cup absolutely it should be in everybody's top 2, 3. I mean, how can you dispute Reese's Cup? Obviously, the even bigger ones, what do they call those, are even better, more peanut butter for you. Yeah. But any variety of Reese's, you're right. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. I'm not a huge chocolate guy, so I would throw Skittles in there. Big Skittles guy. Shout out Marshawn Lynch. I could crush a jumbo bag of Skittles in no time, flat. You know, this is not pre-planned. You can ask anybody that knows me. I've had this opinion for as long as I can remember. Heath bar. I'm playing Heath. I didn't do this just for you. Fair. But I am a Heath / Score is the other one. Toffee guy. I'm a fan. So when those used to get real dusty at the village store, you know, I start sneaking around because wasn't nobody buying Score bars in the Red Bank, you know.
Sure.
But I was sneaking them right off the top. I'd make think about, hey man, I'm gonna buy these couple bucks. This box going out of date. I'm gonna take them. I mean, I kill them. That's really tough for me. I don't really have another one. as far as hate, I got a big sweet tooth, so hate's a tough word. I can tell you, my dad, being in his 60s, used to love those Nico wafer things. You know, I'm talking about the little.
Yeah.
Oh, you get them at the Cracker Barrel now. Probably about the only place you can get them.
Circle shaped things.
Terrible, awful. I mean, I guess it's sort of like the candy hearts of Valentine's Day, but like in a wafer. But
they had it rough, man. They had it rough back in the 60s.
Yeah.
They had a lot of stuff that was rough. So
yeah, I agree.
All right, mine definitely Reese Cup right off the bat. There's no doubt about it. I put them in the refrigerator, but like you said, the eggs, anything Reese's good with me. Anything.
That's an important distinction, by the way, as someone that's married to a connoisseur of Reese Cups. The holiday versions are always better. The pumpkins, the trees, the hearts, the eggs, eggs. Yeah, white chocolate's good.
Oh,
any holiday version, immediately.
It's just like for me with Debbie cakes. I mean, Little Debbie's, I think a lot of their holiday versions are great as well. But I like Reese's in the fridge. I like Snickers in the fridge, but I like the almond one. And it almost rip your teeth out if you get it too cold, but I still like it. And then as far as the candy goes, I grew up a gummy guy. I'm a gummy bear, shark, dinosaur, anything you can put a gummy on, except for the Krabby Patties from SpongeBob. I ain't got that. But anything else, you can go gummy bear, worm, shark. I'm in. I love gummies. My favorite unique niche one is chewy sour heads or chewy lemon heads. I don't know if you know what they are. They're kind of like the Runts candies, but they're chewy, like orange, banana, grape. That's what I love. Now, I hate sixlets, and you all know this. This is in the world renowned, but I just don't understand how anybody would pick sixlets to eat, given the opportunity that you got better. There's just something about it. It's like a Diet Coke to a Coke or whatever, however you want to compare it. But I also hate, and we've talked about this. This goes into the Halloween category. But that gooey peanut butter they put in I can't get behind that either.
That's bad. What is that called? Does anybody know what that's called? Is there a name for that?
Goo. That's all I have. Peanut butter goo.
Big Lots. That's what it's called. Big Lot candy.
All right. So I think that's all I got. I'm gonna put y'all in the mix, especially since y'all are a little more flexible than my other people. And I'll probably mix and match. Heath with, some other guys, Matt with another guy. I like the difference in the age groups because everybody's not saying the same thing. Because like we all did, if me, Heath, and Kurt all did basketball, it's gonna be Jordan and Bird and Magic. At least you're a younger guy. You got a little different, especially with like wrestling 90s versus 80s, and I don't know. Honestly, I'm bored. These guys on TV ain't got nothing to say that's unique. They're just guessing when we're going to have sports or if we're going to have sports. So I just figured I'd throw something together. I know a bunch of guys who like sports, pop culture. They like to eat Reese Cups and Little Debbie cakes, stuff like that. So, and no, I don't.
Since you mentioned Debbie cakes and you have managed to get the unlimited video, I'm gonna just interject right now.
Totally different. We'll do the whole thing. Go ahead, shoot it.
There's two totally different lists of Debbie cakes: the seasonal ones and then the regular rotation. You can't really mix those.
Well, go all regular rotation on a daily basis. What's your top 4 on the Mount Rushmore? Your every day, no Christmas tree, no Easter, no. Every day right now you walk in August. What's your top 4?
Right. I mean, far away, number one, classic, old reliable, undefeated, all-time record is oatmeal pie. Ever. I don't care what else you got out there. Oatmeal pie is number one, no question. Okay. Number 2 for me, probably zebra cake. Zebra cake's probably number 2, right up there with it. Number 3, I tell you one that don't get a lot of love. This underappreciated Little Debbie cake is the donut stick. Big donut stick guy.
Donut, nice.
Big donut stick guy.
If I drink coffee, I would eat the donut stick, but I don't eat coffee, and it's kind of dry to me. So it's like the raisin cake, man.
It's good. Raisin cake, aka the fly pie, as my dad calls them.
Oh, is that the one you threw out the window?
Yes.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I can
Pick
get
the
down
reason.
on the fly pie. I can get down on the fly pie. I don't hate them like Rhino. What's that? What I get? 3, 4. Man, it's kind of tough without them having boxes in front of me. Number 4. I don't know. Yeah, I'll give you 3.
You got Swiss cake. You got
Swiss cake for sure. Fudge round. Don't care for that too much. Star Crunch. Get that out the window with the fly pie. See ya. I tell you, you tell you what the number 1 seller of Little Debbie cakes and Red Bank all time at the Village store was
chocolate
the damn
donuts.
Star Crunch. The damn Star. The donut. The donut.
Was
Now,
cooking
I will
season.
say the donuts did get picked up a lot, but the meth heads probably like Star Crunch. I don't understand, but it was. I mean, they would kill them by the handful.
Heath, I give you a story. I used to run the route of his store, and I'd come by, and they had a trailer park across the street that was meth heads to a certain degree, I guess you'd say. And he would always tell me,
one or two.
When they cooking meth, the Funyuns and the chocolate donuts is gone. They eat when they cooking the meth up, they eat all the Funyuns. So I know if I go in the store and there ain't no Funyuns in there, I know who's been in there. Heath, go ahead and give me your top 4.
I'll agree with the oatmeal pie, but I'm going to have to go with the double-decker oatmeal pie. Oh, my Lord, that is a total different world right there. The oatmeal pie chart, the double-decker is just I made a comment the other day at work. I missed most about Blue Cross working in the office is they had them for some reason. There was a clearance section, a little vending machine, and for 80 cents you got the double-decker one. And I may you can tell by my face, my fat face, I may eat those on a regular basis. But just love the double-decker oatmeal pie. It's hard.
Let me ask you this: why has Little Debbie not come up with? And maybe they have. I'm not aware of it. But in my life, I'm 34 this year. I've never seen it. Oatmeal pie, not the double-decker, but just kind of like they do the double stuffed Oreos. Why can't we have like a super
cream,
stuffed oatmeal pie?
That thick cream?
Yeah. I mean, they could print money. They could take my money right now. I'll write the check.
You're probably going diabetic shock after about 2 of them. So.
I mean, but I'm in.
Yeah, that's good stuff there. Number 2, I'm going with the Nutter Butter. Just something about biting those things into like the layers and biting them off and eating them one layer at a time. You take one stick and turn it into like 15 different, eating sessions on that one. I don't know. 3, I'm gonna have to go with the Swiss cake roll too. It's the same thing. I like eating those things. You kind of pull the chocolate off and kind of make your little rolls. And I do the Swiss cake or the jelly one, the chocolate or the jelly. I'm good with either one of those. And I'll go with those 3 right there.
Okay. Cool.
He's to get in trouble for playing with his food a lot. I can see.
Yeah,
this kid,
gotta make it
got
last.
a lot of 9-year-old tendencies right here. Hey, that's a tear them apart. And either I said,
a big glass of milk.
Hey, ain't nothing wrong with that. Like I say, I appreciate you guys joining. I don't know how much extension they gave us. We're running up on an hour. But I'll be in touch with y'all. We'll mix it up. Like I say, I ain't got nothing to do, and especially during the daytime. I can knock one of these out about every day. As long as my boss don't find out. But anyway, appreciate you.
So this wasn't recorded at 1:00, by the way. This just happened to be posted at 1:00. Not recorded.
It probably won't be posted to this afternoon. I should have said tonight on Thursday night. But anyway, it was a good time. I like shooting the bull about stuff, especially since we don't have anything factual to actually report on. Hopefully we'll get soon. Masters and Kentucky Derby all moved to the fall. So it's going to be a while before we talk about sports again. So I'll come up with some more lists. I don't know, food, drink, movies, Netflix, Tiger King. We might do a Tiger King documentary. I might pull in about 20 people. I know that's your thing. Heath, you watch Tiger King?
I've never seen any of them yet.
Oh my God, man! What are you doing with your life?
I know.
Hey man, you got 7 hours today. You can start now and you'll be done by 9:00 tonight. Just do the Cliff Notes version and get on back to us. But anyway, we'll do another one here soon. Appreciate you guys. Enjoyed it. You did good. Talk to y'all soon.